The cybersecurity matchmaker, we have a new feature. It's cool, but like
That drop.
there's only like 5 sounds.
Yeah.
And we are here with Kevin Olivieri, a superstar celebrity in my book, but he hasn't had coffee
You,
yet.
yeah,
What?
your book only.
No, I think that there were a lot of views of the project that we're going to talk about, but he hasn't had his coffee yet. So just I feel like that's cool to know.
Yeah, I run off of water, coffee, and my love of talking about turning your job search and flipping it on the script and,
Nice.
you know,
Well,
changing the game.
I am starting something new. It's some kind of like probiotic soda. I usually have my mug, but that's now. And it is kind of good. So so number one, I do want to say, like, before we even know who Kevin is, I just want to say how I found him, because it's like how I find a lot of people, which is stalking. And wow, we have some people watching from Saudi Arabia, London, Bay Area, Philly, and Miami. That is exciting.
Amazing places.
That just became known to me. So that is awesome. Thank you. A shout out to Matt Stevenson. Let us know that. Thank you. So the way I found Kevin was, okay, I'm going to say the whole thing. Late one night, I was scrolling and I came across a friend's post, and like, I don't know, Kevin had said something. It came up because LinkedIn does funny things like that. They like to show you things. And I said, who's that? I think I saw product marketer somewhere or something like that, which always sparks me. So I went and looked, and I spent like the next 15 minutes watching his videos. They are so amazing. So everybody must, go to them and watch them. But what they were is basically last year, Kevin was looking for a job, and he'll tell you the story on from his angle, but he's a marketer, and looking for a job can be disempowering. And what he did was he made his job search into a marketing campaign, and it was brilliant. I'm constantly complaining about how marketers and salespeople forget that when they're job searching, this is an amazing opportunity to show your sales, your sales swagger, to show your marketing chops. So I really had never, I've seen a few people, and I intend to have a few more people who've done different things like this. But Kevin did this amazing thing, and I contacted him right away and just tried to get in touch with him, and he was actually really nice. Not that hard to get
surprisingly.
In touch with. Yeah, surprisingly. I was like, this guy's famous. Will he ever talk to me? And I think he answered like right away.
Yeah.
But that's because, I try not to be obnoxious in my stalking. And so anyway, what I loved about what Kevin did, and then I just want to like give it over to him so he can do the intro that he wants to do on himself, was that he really invested money, time, brain power, creativity, all of the resources that a marketer should have, and usually they do have. And he really invested in himself. And I think, like, we talk a lot about invest in yourself and self-care. This was one of the most perfect expressions of that I've ever seen, to be totally honest. I know that's like really dramatic, but but it is. So Kevin, that was a long introduction, but I would love to hear from you, just who you want people to know you are. And then I'd love to dig into kind of what you did and how you did it and what happened.
Yeah, perfect. I'm Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, just a person. No, so last year I found myself in a situation where I was looking for jobs, and I said to myself, I don't want to apply to any jobs. There's too much variables that like could go into if you even get seen by a hiring manager or whatever it may be. There's so many different things, and like I wanted to bet on myself, and I'm a marketer, and I like to think I'm at least moderately creative, and so it's just like, why not just show what I can do versus just tell you and hope that you can, you'll discover, wow, look at this resume. This is the greatest resume ever. It's just like every resume looks the same.
It's so
most of the
funny
time.
with resumes, like I mean, I'm interrupting you, but I mean, resumes are, people don't look at resumes, but you do look at them. You look at them for a second.
You scan them, right? I think like there's studies out there like I don't know, you spend like half a second or a couple seconds just like glancing over someone's resume, but like on top of that, what if you're busy during the day and it's just like, oh my God, I got to look through this. Like you're context
Right.
switching, doing a whole bunch of things like on top of trying to find someone for this job. And if you work for an organization that has like hundreds of applications coming through, it's just like, are you really putting yourself in a position to succeed there?
Especially if you're applying to, I mean, startups are a different story, but if you're applying to bigger companies, you're also just like a victim of AI. It's just gonna
Yeah,
crunch you into
I've
some numbers and words and whatever. That's it.
I, I've heard that so much. I've also heard the flip side that there's no AI involved. I have no idea myself, so I
Oh,
just yeah.
I I hear that it is, but I also work with startups. So there's a lot
Yeah,
more humanity there.
yeah, I don't know.
But I will say if I do want a client to notice something on a candidate's resume, I have to put it in my email.
Yeah,
So, I mean, my big beef with like marketers' resumes is that it should just be visually really exciting and, you know, let them look at it for a minute and
yeah,
see four things and that's it.
yeah. It's interesting too because like I think there's different facets of marketing that would be great to like tailor your resume around and do it differently. Like there are so many
Oh,
incredible copywriters who can easily make some like build it into a story or do something
that's
crazy
great.
like that. Um, I mean, obviously, again, you're just is a hiring manager gonna look through and be like, oh, once upon a time, yeah, I'm out. Like there's
Right.
risks
Or
associated with
I,
it.
what I thought you were saying, which could also be really cool, is just have a copywriter like or a friend or think of it like copy.
Yeah,
And even just a short sentence can sound cool and inviting.
you're marketing yourself,
Yeah.
whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. Like you're marketing yourself, and you're also putting yourself in a position where either A, you'll let them decide without even knowing you, without ever seeing you, how they feel about you and your skill set, or B, you can kind of control that narrative yourself. Like if there's,
So
yeah,
so tell us like how, it's interesting because okay, I'm sure you had a resume at the time as well. Did you?
yeah,
Actually, did
yeah,
you?
yeah,
Good question. Okay.
yeah,
So tell us how it worked. I mean, honestly, the videos are amazing. Video, do you want to just go through them quickly? Video one was
yeah. There was four different videos. The first one was just a video resumes. I want to say standard, but like I was in Arizona at the time, like visiting family. And so like I did it on top of like a mountain. Like, so I had these beautiful backdrops for the video where I just kind of
I did
talked
notice
about I
that.
had I had 11 years doing XYZ or like just kind of like whatever you would write onto a resume, I just spoke it and then I edited it in the subtitles below. And so I did it where I would just say like a couple things, then would switch to a different location so it keeps the attention going.
Right.
And so I did that. That first one went out, and I got a lot of people reaching out to me. But I was just like, I can't really rest on the laurels, and I also want to pressure people so I can, just get locked into a job as soon as possible.
Right.
And so right after that, I did another video 2 weeks later, like where so on my drive home from Arizona to California, I was listening to the Hamilton soundtrack, and I was like, I wonder if it's actually hard to write
Addicted.
musicals. It is. It's very hard to write musicals, but I was just like, I already committed in my mind, like, I guess I'm gonna try to turn this like Alexander Hamilton song, the first song from the show,
Like you somehow
into
found yourself with no choice. It was
yeah. I was
just,
like, back
what's
myself into a
happening?
corner here. So yeah, I wrote the lyrics for that. I filmed the video and got more people reaching out, and it's it's still like I had to continue to every 2 weeks do something else, and so
Did you make that commitment to yourself? You said every 2 weeks, I'm gonna do this.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
literally
And then
just
so
had to do it.
basically, I mean, you gave yourself a job. You said,
Yeah,
okay,
kept
every
myself
2 weeks,
busy.
this is what's expected of you, you know, have fun with it.
Yeah, literally. Tried to have
We
as
all
much
need,
fun as possible with it,
whenever
but
I think about planning, in business wise, I want to be my own best boss and I want to be my own best employee. And I
yeah,
think, it sometimes helps when we can think of ourselves that way. Like I've given myself an assignment and it needs to be done.
yeah. I mean, you got to keep yourself busy, but you also got to again control that narrative, like control the perception of who you are. So like once I started the videos, I couldn't stop. So I was like, I got to keep going until I find
Oh,
something.
that's awesome. Like it stopped being a chore. I mean, this is like an
Oh yeah,
underlying piece to it that I think people are afraid to even consider doing it because it sounds like so much work. But I'm hearing from you that basically once you started, you got into it so hard that you were like it wasn't work anymore and it was just fun
no,
and exciting.
yeah. So like, I mean, even if we take a step back really quickly, very far, like when I was very younger, a motorcycle just drove by. When I was younger, I used to do videos with my friends. Like we used to make these like little movies and stuff like that. Like we'll do them for school or we'll do them just for whatever. Um, and so like that had always been inside of me, but then college came and you know, you're just busy with work, internships, all that stuff. And so I kind of like put it on the back burner. I was like, man, I always wish I wanted to pursue it a little bit more. And then once the pandemic hit, I was just like, I was home alone and I was like, well, I got this camera here. Why don't I just focus on making videos again? And so that was basically my pandemic
Oh,
project.
that's
Like, so the
cool.
year
So you
before leading into it, doing weekly videos where it's just like around whatever was happening with something at the job I was at previously. I would just like do a personal video where I'd push it out onto LinkedIn. Like nothing big, nothing
great.
crazy, but like you learn how to film, you learn the importance of sound, you learn how to do transitions, how to like edit. So like there's no awkward pauses or anything like that. So things move as smoothly as possible. So like,
Right, we can't prevent that today, but
yeah. And so like what's funny too is just like during that time period with the pandemic, the thing that really forced me to just like get into the videos is I had signed a lease. Like I took over the lease from my old roommate for our apartment. It was 2 bed, 2 bath,
okay.
and it was March. It was like this first week of March, and so usually in the city, there's so many people, workers coming in and out that like finding a roommate is easy. It's just like within 5 days you'll
Okay.
have someone. Unfortunately, the day I signed my lease, the next day is when shelter in place was announced, and so like everything went locked down. So I was just like
Oh
stuck with this
man.
2 bedroom, two
Like
bath
like
apartment.
meaning like nobody was going to check out apartments even
No
with a
one
hazmat
could.
suit. Right.
No, we didn't have hazmat suits. It was the early days. And so I'm just like, is this really a 2 week thing or what's going on here? And so
Oh
after like I
man.
realized this is going to be a long-term thing, I was like, all right, I got to do something crazy. So I did I there's like this like apartment board on like this Facebook group for the city, and people put like pictures and all that, and I was like, I'll do a video. I'm going to do a commercial all about this my place so I could find roommates. So I did that. I pushed it through, and it went viral like internally within there. So
Oh,
like I
that's
had so many people coming to me being like, "Hey, I want to check out your place. I want to move in. Like, what's the deal? What's the situation?" And so just like that little thing kind of
just
triggered something into me where it's just like, "Wow, dang, video is pretty powerful.
that's
What else
so
can I
cool.
do?"
So you weren't is that's actually really interesting because I made the assumption that you were a video marketing was a part of your
No.
stack. So this is a new thing. I mean, there's so much to unpack there also.
In a way, it was because like when I was at IBM previously, I was in their cybersecurity division. So this
Yes,
this
which is
title,
why
this
it's
theme,
appropriate which is why it's
yes.
appropriate for us to have Kevin because,
Um,
cybersecurity.
I went ahead and created their first ever weekly video web series, like within the security division, where I basically
Oh,
like take the top
cool.
cybersecurity news that had come out, kind of distill it into a 1 minute video, doing like quick little segments. Um, so like I had been in front of the camera, and it like I
Okay.
felt fairly comfortable with it. So
So you just
like
like
that
you
had
just
always
doubled
been
down
there.
on it. I mean, it was a part
Yeah,
of you, you doubled down on it. Um, and by the way, we will I will get links from you. I was actually trying to find links, you know, to post not just your posts from LinkedIn. So I'll have to get that from you and I can share
yeah,
that on
yeah,
the page later.
yeah.
And I also want to
And
say, if anybody has questions, we're going to do questions, or you can just throw them out. Just throw them out, and we'll get to them when we can.
Yeah.
So, it's so funny because like when we're doing these shows, like I like listen to what someone's saying, and then there's something that keeps like causing me anxiety if I was in your situation.
Mhm.
I want to ask you about this because it's probably something you haven't shared a lot of. You got so much interest. You said basically
Yeah.
90 companies interested in you. And then when you mentioned the thing about the apartment and you had all these people, honestly, that got me nervous because I'm thinking, how the hell did you manage? How did you manage everything? That's really what
Yeah.
I was thinking about. Like, if you're doing
So
awesome things, the downside of doing awesome things that everybody loves, that generates a lot of inbound interest, is how did you manage it?
yeah, an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so like
Manually, like, inputting everything and just
yeah, I would put in like when someone would reach out, I would like have separate tabs for like jobs and companies I'm really interested in. Um, and then I think there was like consulting work, and then there's
oh, okay.
also like a lot of people reached out. There's like, hey, if you start an agency, like I would want you to like do work for me,
Oh,
like
cool.
to
Okay,
take on as clients and like so like potential clients, things like that.
great.
Um,
That, by the
and
way, is a marketing story. How are
yeah,
you handling that inbound, and how are you making sure things don't get lost? That's
yeah.
amazing.
So like for the first two videos, it was it was pretty there was a lot of people. It was probably like 20 or so companies reaching out. But then I was like, what's the next step? Like I can't do another video resume right now. What's the next thing I could do? And I'm thinking through like the job search process. And then there's always like the reference section
Oh,
where it's just like, oh, you send us your references. And I was just like, why don't I get ahead of that? And instead I'll just reach out to like the platform Cameo, where
oh,
you can get celebrities
this
to
was
shoot
my
you,
favorite
give
one.
you shout outs. I was just like, well, what is a workplace? What's a workplace show where I could get people to act as my references? And so
That was the
I
most
reached,
genius thing I've ever seen, like,
yeah,
in many contexts.
I reached out. Yeah, so I reached out to three people on The Office, the TV show, Kevin Malone Meredith and David
David was so
David
good.
Wallace. Oh,
David,
he was
I mean,
amazing.
they were all fine, but like they were all good, and you cut them in perfectly. But David was like
He
brilliant.
sent me like a almost 3 minute video just going
Yeah,
through it. So I just had to choose selections. So like it was great for me because like I just had to like edit it down. But like I wish I could have released at one point just like all the things he said. It
like
was
what did
hilarious.
you? How did you do that? Did you give him like a bullet
I gave
point?
them a prompt. I was just like, hey, I'm looking for a job. I could use your help. Can you let people know I'm create like and I gave them
Okay,
like a couple like bullet points to just say like I'm a forward thinker, I'm creative, blah blah blah.
he had
And
fun with
so
it. He really.
oh, he did, yeah. They all did. And so Meredith gave me or the actress in character, I guess, gave me a Dundie. So from now on, I feel like I should put that on my resume. Like I'm a
Oh
Dundie
yeah,
winner for best
totally,
job search.
totally. Even though you don't get to have the Dundee in your house, I think that virtual
It's in
Dundee.
my heart.
Yeah,
It's in my heart. I'm sure they can NFT it at some point. So
right.
I'll just be waiting for that.
So I was just noticing Jay Schreiber was saying that, it would be cool to think about how to bring this to students. And I think that is a great idea. Do you think you could have done this, let's say, without digging into the editing part? Like, could someone else have edited it for you?
Yeah.
Would the process
Oh,
been just, we talked
there's
about
so
being
much
like
like on
OCD about
Fiverr,
that, but
Upwork, yeah, Fiverr, Upwork, anything like that. You can always find video editors. It's going to cost you a little bit more,
do you
but
think it
like
would
there,
be as good? Like, do you think do you feel like that a lot of the process was about you being fully in it yourself? Not, I mean, you're very good
definitely.
at it. I'm not saying, but let's say someone thinks they're moderately entertaining or has the ability to be in front of a camera. Yeah. How much do you think went into, the creativity side was you editing it yourself or,
I mean, a lot of it. It was my story. I wanted to own
yeah,
it, and like it's like something that I enjoy doing anyway. So
right.
like it didn't feel too much like work. But I recognize as well, like this isn't for everyone. Like taking this video resume approach isn't for everyone because it's just not, not everyone has the skill set
Yeah.
necessary for it. But like, I also feel the barrier is fairly low because there's been so few that have
Yes.
just like come out that it doesn't matter. All you really need is like your cell phone, which shoots 4K video. And if you have
That's
like the
really
new
good.
iPhone 13s, they have like cinematic 4K, which is like pretty crazy and amazing. So you can capture the footage. And the beautiful part too is like you don't have to try to memorize your lines and like do them perfectly. You could just like know what sections you're gonna do
Okay.
and focus on like, all right, I'm gonna say these 3 lines right now, and then spend a minute or two just like saying the lines in front of the camera. Like do each line like 3 or 4 times,
Right, because you can
and
just
then you
cut it.
choose the best one. And then on top of that too, like you can always have it out like on a piece of paper or something like that, or if you're filming with a camera or whatever, like have it on your phone so you know exactly what you're saying even while you're recording, because you're going to edit it out. Like it doesn't have to be
Right.
perfect. That's the beauty of
Did
editing.
you read a script while you were doing it?
No.
Your timing was great. So I
Yeah,
was
I
like
mean,
wondering if you were using a script.
no. I mean, I wrote scripts for each of these, but I just tried to kind of you know, like what I just said, I would glance down in
Uh-huh.
between like lines, and then I would do it. And the way that I cut it, kind of it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are
No,
a
it
lot of
worked.
people, again, like something like I'm sure Fiverr, Upwork, something like that. There's like marketplaces that exist where you can go and you can take a look at who can edit videos, kind of what you're looking for, and reach out to them. Um, I haven't done it. I've heard of people who've done it, and I've seen that a lot of people do it. And I mean, I feel like that's
Cool.
a lot of YouTubers end up doing as well, as they bring on teams to start editing their video once they get to a certain
Oh,
point. So
yeah, no,
like,
that makes sense. But yeah,
yeah,
look, I think you have I think there's a lot of modalities that marketers could use. Um, but I do think there is something special about the video piece. I mean, it
yeah,
really it isn't
it's
something
human.
everyone's going to be able to do the way you did it, but you're
Yeah,
right. I think the important piece is like what is it, like perfection is the enemy of good? Is that
good.
is that is
Yeah,
that the right?
I'll
Yeah.
allow it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah,
But I think right. So Kevin's perfection. I think at this
I'll take
point
that.
you probably have the best job search video series in the whole world.
Yeah,
Probably.
I, I think it's probably the only one as well. But you
Well,
know,
okay. Okay.
semantics aside, I'll take that as well.
You said about the bar being low. I mean, it's very important for I think people to realize that.
Mhm.
A lot I actually this is the time of year I always remember that I started doing video.
Yeah.
And I was in Israel at Cybertech, Tel Aviv.
Hmm.
And I said, like, we were doing, like, I was going on, it was the first time we were going to Cybertech. And I said, like, if we're going to budget this, I better come back with content and I better come back
There
with
you
video because I really wanted to start doing video. And I pushed myself and it was uncomfortable. And then eventually things become regular. LinkedIn Live, the first LinkedIn Live I did, we started an hour late. This is Gianna Whitford,
go.
so patient with me. We started an hour late because the damn thing wouldn't connect and it was all nuts and crazy. And I was like hyperventilating. And now it's like just press the button and we're in.
Yeah.
And
The
back
more
up.
you do things, I mean, it's just like it's anything, man. Repetition. Like the
Yeah.
more
So
you
like
do anything, the more you create, the easier it gets, and the more you can evolve it and make it better and better.
yeah, and it sounds like
The
you got
growth
into a
mindset, right?
groove. Yeah, you got into a
Yeah,
groove. You made it
I
happen.
did. Yeah,
And
and like, so I did that. I did the office video, which got again like a lot of attention. A lot of
so
people
good.
reached out to me. The company Cameo reached out to me too, and like I
No
talked to a couple
way.
people internally, because they were all excited to see like how it would go.
What did they
Um,
wanna know? Did they wanna hire you or they wanted to just like like
no,
Cameo
I
reached out for
bungled. Oh yeah, fun fact about that. I met with I think their head of talent, but I didn't realize it was like an interview. So I just like I thought it was more of just like an exploratory thing. I was
right, like,
not
you're so
prepared, and
smart for what you did.
I bungled it so bad. I was just like, oh my god, I think that was an interview. And so like
That's funny.
I was just like, dang. So that's
But
another
that's
thing to
cool. I mean,
consider.
you
Like
got an interview.
always be prepared.
Right, sure. Well, I guess that speaks to, you know, all the world, like if you're job searching and you're a marketer, all the world's a marketing
Yeah.
opportunity.
And so like I felt so bad after that. And I was like, dang, did I really blow it? And I was like, all right, 2 weeks are coming up. What can I do? And so like 3 videos down, and I'm living in San Francisco. I'm like, what can I do? Like what would like people instantly recognize and be like, ah, I remember that. Like what's nostalgic? And I'm in San Francisco, like I'm near Alamo Square, and I'm just like, oh, the painted lady. Oh, Full House. I'll just recreate the Full House intro, and I'll just do it's a shot for shot remake, but
Right.
me, and instead of the cast members' names, it's my skill sets, like what I have, my skills and experience.
Right.
So
And
like I
you didn't
spent a
realize it
weekend
was
just
going to
like
be a good
filming.
tribute to Bob Saget. So
Oh
there
my
you go.
God, yeah. Rest in peace. And so yeah, I filmed it, and I remember thinking, I hope this is good. Like I think this is good. Like every time I make a video, my for initial reaction is like, this is the worst stuff I've ever created. What's wrong with
Oh,
me?
I think that's
That's just the
typical
creative
artist
process.
mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then like I go through and I edit it, and I'm like, all right, this is actually kind of cool. And so I remember distinctly, like I dropped it on I think a Monday or Tuesday, and like in the morning, first thing in the morning, I always try to do them between like 8 to 10 a.m., 8 9 a.m. Pacific
Okay.
time. And so I go and I do a workout, and then like I'm checking like after the workout, and I was like, dang, this is a lot of people like responding to this, and this is kind of crazy. And then like my LinkedIn inbox got to a point where every like 15 minutes there was a new message from someone being like, hey, I saw this, I love it, my company's hiring, let me
Whoa.
know
So
like how I can help. People
the fourth
commenting, be like, check
one?
this out. Yeah.
So you're
Lucky
saying
number
like the
4.
fourth one is when it really blew up?
Yeah. Yeah, the fourth one, the Full House one, is the one that really did it. And that's where there was
Interesting.
literally within a span of a week and a half, like 90 different job opportunities like coming through, whether it was
Wow.
companies hiring, consulting, or
Right.
like if I wanted to
So
do
what was
agency
happening?
work.
What was coming through with the other ones? Because I mean, my mind is
Yeah.
going to two different places. One, was it the consistency? Like maybe like people saw you're for real, or was it just like everyone liked the Full House?
I think it was probably like the Full House one.
Okay.
Here's the thing, like the first job search one I did in the mountains, there was like 20 job opportunities immediately from there.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I was
So
like, oh, this is amazing. So that encouraged me
that's
to like
something.
keep going. And so like it was like a steady stream. But the problem is like a lot of companies have those ultra long, arduous interview processes with like 8
Right.
rounds, and like we need to
Right.
talk to this, and we need you to do this and stuff like that. And so like I'm a very impatient person. And so I was just like, if they're very interested in actually hiring me, I'm gonna keep releasing videos to put the pressure on them to
Great.
see like if you know someone else is gonna come and get me. And that's ended up what happening. Like I was
Yeah.
deep in
I mean,
interviews with a lot of different companies at that time, like doing the rounds and rounds, like the final rounds. But
did they speed up?
I,
Did some of them speed up processes because
yes,
of
it
it?
was funny too, because like after the first video, like I think a company reached out to me, and like I had a good conversation with them, but then something happened and they said, hey, we're no longer interested. Like this isn't a good fit or something like that. Like an typical automated message. So I was like,
Right.
all right, whatever. And then the Full House video like popped up, like it got big. And then they came back, they're like, hey, we don't know what happened in our system. Like, I think something went wrong. Like, are you still available?
Are they
So
using they're, like, putting their automated system, which sucks anyway, under the bus? It's ridiculous. Crazy.
that's life.
But what I do love to hear, I mean, super shout out if you find this is like, Mimi's dating tips for recruiting and job hunting. That's my branded thing. Like, if you find the one, like, put a ring on it. Like, seriously. I mean, why do you need 50 people to talk to that person? Figure
No,
out what you need to know, find
it's
out how
it.
you're gonna get to know that thing, to know that this is it, and then make it happen. I've seen so many people, fall away because of that.
Yeah, it like speed. It's so critical, and I think you should know. And that's the whole point of me, like even doing this stuff too, is just like showing versus telling. Any marketer,
Yeah,
any person can be like, oh my god, I'm super creative. I worked on this project. I can do this.
right.
I can do that. But like how many other people were also working on the project? What level of like involvement did you have that you're taking credit for? Like,
Right.
can you actually do video stuff, or do you, again, you outsource it to other people,
It's
or like
important.
it's trash?
It's
Um,
important stuff. I wanna ask you actually, were you able to bypass some of, like, the projects in the interview processes because you
yeah,
had something to put out there?
yeah,
That that is, like, the revelation of this whole show. Because, there is a huge struggle with, you do need to validate that somebody can do the things you need them to do. Now, you're not gonna
yeah,
get to have them do all of that. So it's about thinking, well, what is an interesting activity that we can motivate them to do so we can see a little snapshot of what they maybe would be capable of.
yeah,
And I think that's the best argument for what you did is give them something so they don't have to ask for it. And
exactly.
then you
You
get
can,
to be the one to decide what the project is rather than have them say, "Oh, can you just write us a maybe like a 3 section like outreach sequence just, about us." You can just it doesn't have to be great. Like,
yeah.
like really?
It's kind of crazy how often people, like, companies will do that, but I think it's just like it's just a relic of the past. I think now there's so much work out there, and there's so much that you can verify about people, and you can just tell.
True.
And it's all about really the personal branding too. Like, I never want to, nor did I ever want to like apply for a job again. And so like you
That's
do
great.
that, like then show what you can do. Like you have to show it.
Show it. Yeah, just
That's the
show it.
most
Like
critical part.
there's kind of like a deep idea here, honestly, which is just this idea that like, people want to do meaningful work. But,
Mhm.
not every like, working for a nonprofit that does good things is not the only kind of meaningful work to do. I mean, marketing is meaningful if it's connected to who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And if it's, I mean, it can be just as meaningful because you're bringing something to the world. And I think seeing a job search that way is really empowering. Like your job search is who you are.
Yeah.
And so you got to get out of your mind, I'm unemployed. You have to put into your mind, I'm looking for that amazing opportunity. And I want to hear a little bit about how that came
Yeah.
together at the end, because I feel like
Yeah.
getting to the point where we're going to probably close up soon. But I think,
Yeah.
people probably really want to hear so I asked how you managed the inbound. How did you
Mhm.
qualify? And then how did you decide?
Yeah. So before that, I do want to point out the one point, like you just said towards the end about like there's like a stigma associated. It's just like, shoot, if you lost your job, you're just like, do I want to tell people? Do I want to let people know and stuff like that? And like, who cares? Honestly, who cares? Like, that's not going to push you. Like, if you hide that you lost it and you're trying to like do stuff on the side, like to find a
Right.
next job or something like that, that doesn't help you. Get out there. Like, LinkedIn is a network, and who knows who can see who's interacting with your posts. Like it's possibilities are like limitless, really. And so
Can
like
I
I
want to
that
I want to ask you, did you put the green banner on your
no, I didn't.
Okay, so I'm glad you didn't, and I just wanna put out there that there's a difference between proactively networking and everything that we're talking about. What?
Nah,
Oh.
I know, I was just pointing to the plant. I got a
Oh, the
comment about it.
plant. Yes. We have
Ficus.
someone backstage telling us to give a little credit to that plant, and it is beautiful. So, is that a COVID project too? Keeping that
It
alive.
literally was. I have so many plants now.
Now I lost my train of thought. Thank you. But anyway,
Banner.
but what I was saying is just this idea of the green banner. I always tell people to take that thing the hell off of their profile. It doesn't work to just sit back and let people know you're looking. And having that banner up there tells people more than they deserve to know about you before you connect with them and share kind of you're not like open to work. You are looking for your next professional investment. And
Yeah.
I think that mentality shift and like anytime you're doing anything proactive is going to put you in a way better mood about your job search. But so I just wanted to make a plug for that
Yeah.
because I do feel LinkedIn does a disservice in offering it. It's like you think you're doing what you should be doing, and it's A
Yeah.
little more than that. So, okay, so
Yeah.
you got all
Yes.
this inbound, so
Yeah. I got
you
all the
diverged.
inbound. I was going through everything, and for me, it's kind of like what you said before too. With like the you want to do deep work, you want to do things that are important to you, and when you have options, it makes it easier to be able to choose. And so for me, what's important is continuing to learn and grow, like as fast and as quick and as much as possible.
Cool.
Um, and I feel there's no better way to do that than working with like a promising early stage startup, right?
Love the early stage.
Um, because you're forced to just wear every single hat there is.
Right.
And by doing that, you put yourself in a position where you almost, I guess I'm the expert now, and you have to figure it out. And you're problem solving daily. And every time you solve a problem, you're learning something new. And then, like, you're able to create linkages, be like, whenever other problems exist, be like, oh, I can connect this and that. And like, oh, here's how we can solve it. And like, you just become a better professional or expert in the field. And so, like, for me, that was super critical for me. And
So you knew
um,
it was early stage. So you and I mean, an important piece in this that you haven't like said outright, but it sounds like you thought to yourself, what
mhm,
are the qualities of what this dream job is going to look like ahead of time?
yeah,
Or did you not like, did you have a clear
I did.
picture? Or did you let,
I had vague picture, I'd say. Like I definitely wanted uh something either a like a really cool early stage startup or just like a crazy like a SpaceX or something like that. But I don't know
like
if they even
something you
hire
can tell your
marketers or anything.
grandchildren?
Yeah, something like that. But like so like as I'm going through all of these different like these inbound interests, the demand that I generated, um I came across like one that was just like, yeah, I'll hop on a call right now. And so
Wow,
within like the first conversation to like the offer, it was 6 days.
nice.
And like that's only because like I talked to them on a Friday, and then by that next Thursday there was an offer and I had signed.
When you know, you
Um,
know.
yeah, everything, it's all about like, again, like when you put yourself out there like this and you can kind of generate that demand, like you can be selective and you can actually find places that'll be a great fit for you. And for me, like it was important to find similar philosophy, the similar mentality, and like just that opportunity to grow and work with like-minded and like really smart and great people. And so I did that, and I joined a company called Scratchpad, and it's been the greatest career decision I've ever made.
So cool.
There's an adjustment obviously when you are like one of the early employees, um, where you're just like, oh my god, this is so much to do. But like you learn so fast because you have no other choice but to learn
Right.
so fast and like grow. And like I've had the most career growth in this 1 year than I had in any of the previous 12
Oh, I didn't
before.
even think how many props you were gonna be able to give to just the idea of early stage startup in general. I
Yeah.
always talk about it. People think it's scary. You know what? It's like one of the best investments you can make in your career.
It
Even if you don't think of yourself as a startup person, but you're a hard worker and you love to learn, give yourself at least 1 or 2 experiences like that in your career
Yeah.
because I
Every
mean, it's
single
incredible.
every single person coming into and this is just from a marketing perspective, that's all I can talk to. You
Yeah,
should
sure.
work at an early stage startup within the first 5 years of your career because the learning
Oh,
that you will get
cool.
there is so great, so much greater than what you would get at legacy or enterprise companies where you have 50 people working on a project that takes, you know,
It's great.
quarters or years to do. Like now it's just like, all right, you've got 2 weeks, let's get this together. And you're forced to do it.
That's
So
great
like
advice.
that skill
Like,
set is transferable anywhere and anytime, wherever you go.
I always say, like, there are certain times in a person's life where early stage startup is, better, but, like, never thought to quite put it that way, and I love it. Gila said, "Once
Yeah,
you join a startup, you can never go back." I think
I
that's true,
agree, Hila.
especially if you're good at choosing startups, like
Yeah.
Siolo that Gila works at. And, so I guess, like, that's a great piece to just encapsulate. Like, in the first
Yeah.
5 years, if you invest that way, you will work harder. You will, maybe not have every minute of your weekend that you thought you were gonna have or whatever it is. if there's an emergency. But I loved that idea to think like that's a time where you can accelerate your career so powerfully that if you just get used to something else, it's
Yeah.
harder.
It is. It's an
I like it.
adjustment. And I had worked at startups before, not at this level, but I've also worked at like IBM's and Discovery Channel and Juniper Network. So like big 1,000+ people companies. And so like, I don't know. I realize
Is
now,
this your first
like,
startup or?
like this is like my first. Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah, we could say this
That's
is like the
awesome.
first startup. Because like I had worked at agencies before that were starting up.
Okay.
But like nothing like
Agency is
this.
different. Probably like
Yeah,
vibe-wise. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, like the company I was at before this as well, like they were an ultra fast growing startup, but like they were still over like 700 employees or something
Okay.
at that point.
Well,
So like,
that's enough. You're like validating things right and left for me because I always say
mm,
like don't overlook somebody who's coming from a
yeah,
bigger company if they have what
no.
it takes.
And
So
how better to show that you have what it takes than to actually show them.
there you go.
And like the one thing I will say too is just like I recognize that like I'm a marketer and like creativity and displaying uh, what you can do is super critical for like setting yourself like ahead of the pack. But like I can do video. There's people who may not be able to just do the standard video resume or do it
Right.
comfortably, which I think is fine. But I think that there's other opportunities as well that exist out there to just get creative with how you tell the story
I mean, I
of
have seen
what you
beautiful
can do.
resumes. I have seen beautiful marketing resumes
Yeah.
where it looks like a flyer and it's gorgeous and you can see the trajectory of the career and it's not, like a lot of words, things like that. I have seen
Yeah.
things like that. So like definitely props, but I will say it doesn't have to, I think the quality of what you put together is amazing. I think just a simple piece where you show who you are in some
Hmm.
way, you can, video can come along with something else.
Yeah.
You could do a deck. I mean, you could do a lot of different things. It also depends on you could do an email cadence with a company that is your dream company that you want to
You
join.
you could use the street team and just like literally plaster, like put picture
Yeah.
like
Oh my
papers
God,
around
that's
somewhere, like in
great.
business centers. You can, I
I
was going to
love
say a
that.
billboard. If you have the budget, you can get like a
You could do a
billboard near a company
billboard.
that you're interested.
You could do a
Um,
Super Bowl commercial.
I've
You can
seen,
get really creative.
yeah, I've seen. So that's a really good point. Um, the Super Bowl commercial that Coinbase did, right? It was the
Oh, right.
most
I saw
talked about
that.
one. The QR code.
I saw your video on that. That was awesome.
Someone can so easily do that same QR code floating DVD logo,
Right.
but just change the link to your resume. And look, you don't need to be in front of the camera. You can just have a video like
I
that.
love
Reach out
that.
to someone.
No,
Um,
that's true. Like just like not everybody's an in front of the camera person.
there's
It's too
unboxing
much.
videos that you can do as well. Just like set up the camera. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is like I've been waffling over this decision because I've just been super busy and wasn't sure. I'm in the process right now of planning a wedding and it's happening in May. So like I'm
Congratulations.
on top of working right now. I just have
Okay.
no time for anything.
Did that happen through your videos too?
No, she was there before.
Okay.
But like I want to start a video series where it's basically just every week I'll do a different crazy or creative idea that someone can replicate and show you how to do it so that other people can do the same.
That's
Like
great.
at the
Like
end
the
of
QR
as
code.
soon
That was so
yeah,
cool.
like the QR code, like there's a video I have on my LinkedIn right now that shows you exactly how to do the QR code campaign or
Yeah.
QR code commercial that Coinbase did, and it takes 2 minutes.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah,
It's really cool. And
and so like
I didn't even see the
there's
original commercial.
yeah.
I figured it out
After
from here.
after I had gotten my job with Scratchpad, like after my video resume campaign, I also deconstructed every single one of the
Yeah, that
videos I
was
did,
awesome.
plus showing people how to replicate it. Because like it was the network that helped connect me to people who got me the opportunities. So like it's about giving back, right? Like something great happened to me. How can I help And so like I did that last year, and now I want to do like another little weekly series where it's just like crazy
Deconstructing.
creative ideas, yeah, that you can
That's great.
do
Well,
to
I
try out.
love anyway, the ones you just threw out there, just I mean, that's so smart. Plastering flyers somewhere, or I mean, there are really, if you are a marketer, you will think of something cool to do. And the key piece here is to not forget that you might have to invest a little bit of time and money.
Yeah,
And I know that sounds like I said it twice. I really mean it. I think people forget to spend money on things like this, especially people coming from bigger companies. I think they're so used to everything being covered, you
yeah.
forget like, okay, like this is like my job. Like
The the most expensive thing that I spent my money on was the videos from the people on Cameo, the people from The Office. Like I think they were about like 200 a pop, but
yeah.
like what is that in comparison to like what you would get with your salary?
Yeah. And then also just like the immeasurables of how you're coming into the role that you're in right now,
Yeah,
and like that kind of really empowered space. So I thank you so much for coming on. You
yeah,
number one, you validated all kinds of pet peeves for me. So
I'm
let's
here
hope
for.
everyone watches those. And then number two, I just feel there really is such a generosity of spirit around the way you did this.
Mhm.
And so easily, somebody could like have this experience, get settled into their job and forget that they ever, were looking. And I really appreciate that you want to give back in that way. It
Yeah,
makes the world go round, honestly.
yeah, absolutely. I'm always happy to help. I mean, people help me. Why not help others? And I feel like just through video is like the easiest way for me to be able to do it. Um, so yeah.
Cool. So everybody should check out the videos. I'm going to, are you able to share direct links, or I can also just reshare your posts?
Right now.
No, 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 no. I'll
Oh,
do it later, but
after?
I'll
Yeah, yeah,
share it
yeah.
on the event page so
Oh,
people have.
okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for joining. And let's see. I think like I'm getting the questions. So I don't think we have any questions, but if you do like just want to learn more about like what Kevin did and just get into it, it's a fun evening. Like just go watch all
Yeah,
the stuff and you'll learn so much. And thanks for coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.